Hey there, everybody. Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with a look at the Titan X training tool. This here is the next iteration of training development from the company Mantis, who I've taken a look at a number of their products. I've seen them a couple of times at SHOT Show. I've taken a look at their different products, and today, something that's actually starting to combine sort of the best of worlds, but I'm going to really go as far as to say today's video might not be about what this means for us today, but I think it's really more indicative of where things are going to go, and I'm hoping in the near future. Now, my claims are completely unfounded. I'm making my own observations, really bringing to you where I think things are going to go if I had to anticipate it. But again, very much my own beliefs. Now, what we're really looking at here is, first off, a completely dry system. There is an inserted magazine, but this does not have any ammo in it. This here is a training tool with a laser. So it has a laser, has a nice, fairly realistic feeling trigger. A little bit of weight to this, but I'm going to show you comparisons against actual handguns. But this also has the gyroscopic analysis in diagnostic sensors that you do get from other Mantis products. This here specifically the X10 Elite, which I've taken a look at in the past. And in combination with the fact that this has the laser, also takes into account the fact that Mantis has their laser training or laser academy training tool. So pretty neat. Now, the first thing I'm going to get into, and you're going to see a number of demonstrations here, but this, in my opinion, leaves a little bit to be desired right now. And I say right now because I feel like, and again, my opinion, but I feel like where this is going to go is to really connect the benefits in one app of both what the X10 can do and also what the Laser Academy can do. And so with that, let's roll in some demonstrations and I'll show you this Titan X at work. So with the Mantis X software, hitting connect, it is scanning. And just a single press of the button here, that's going to blink from green and go to blue. And you can see this comes to life. Picking myself a basic open training right now. So this says to confirm that there is no ammo in my chamber. Check, done. So that's nice. And I can now start my training. Just leveraging my targets from the Laser Academy as something to point at. Now, I do get a little bit of that feedback from the laser, so it does train my eye on making sure that I'm accurate, but this is really about the trigger finger discipline and how I'm squeezing that trigger, my hand placement, and all the little fine details that come from actually placing the shot rather than where the shot ends up. Coming up on target, I'm going to take my time and go as slow as I can and as precise as I can with my finger movements. Ten shots there. Kind of rushed a couple of them. But overall here, a 91.5. As I click into this, it tells me what some of my tendencies are. As I look towards the bottom, you can see pushing forward. So as if, am I anticipating the recoil here? Hard to say. I'd say probably not. But that's, for the most part, breaking down my overall score. 91.5 in this particular case. Now, there are a ton of different drills in here, the ability to operate in a number of different fashions. I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. Ten shots. And you can really see how things change. I mean, when you're not taking your time pushing between the shots, that really does start to show. And keep in mind, of course, the fact that there is no recoil at this point. So you can see how this would definitely aid in your ability to, gain an understanding of what you're doing and try to make those corrections, especially if you're in a controlled environment. So here in Laser Academy, I have myself an open shoot, and you can see here that I have a target selected. So that is right there. In Laser Academy, you can select a firearm. So you can see here I've now added my Titan X, which mine is the Glock 17 model. And I'm now ready. So maybe just a little unrealistic that they're on target, 35 out of 35 hits, 18.39 seconds. So that was like rapid speed, just crushing it, nailing the shots. I mean, granted, very close, but my splits here, I'm at like a third of a second between shots. So is it a useful tool? It is from the perspective that, I'm picking up on my sight picture. It focuses me to be, maybe call it target acquired, which is nice. So I'm staring through my sights onto the target. So that's definitely helping in that perspective. But the lack of weight and lack of recoil does come into play. But again, it's a training tool. So how far can you really go with it? That's why, in my opinion, it's about what this is going to be when you start to bring all of these things together. But for now, it's a great stepping stone. And so now that you've seen this operational in standalone applications, imagine if those two applications were combined and you had the benefit of both seeing your shot placement and shot accuracy in combination with the diagnostics on your trigger pull. I feel like at that point, you're really getting something with incredible value from the training perspective. And you're really hitting the major components all at once. And so that is where I'm hoping their application will go. Again, that's my opinion, and that's sort of, unfounded. I have not heard anything from the people at Mantis about that, but I would have to imagine. That's where this is going to go. Now, let's compare this real quick against the actual firearms that this is trying to represent. So first off, this here emulating a Glock 17. Now with that weighted magazine, I'm going to drop that real quick. But what I have here is my scale. We're going to pull out the scale. And this is not a true Glock 19. This is the Derya DY9, which I've been taking a look at on my channel. But this is really a Glock clone. And again, really more the 19 style. And so when you take a look at the 19 versus 17, we're going to drop these on the scale. So here, taking a look at the 19, 22.1 ounces unloaded. The Titan X17, 9.6. So, I mean, very, very, very light in comparison. And then magazines. Here I have an actual magazine with actual ammo, 7.1 ounces. Training magazine from the Titan X, 9.4 ounces. And keep in mind the fact that this is only a 10-round capacity, where I feel like this is kind of simulating a full stick. So, right there, some definite differences. But fundamentally, right, the other thing to consider, well, with a striker-fired handgun, I would have to rack the slide every time if I put a standard laser cartridge in here. And in fact, just to point out that if you got the Laser Academy, that's exactly what you would do. You would take your 9mm laser, you would get that set in, every time you take a shot, you would literally have to rack the slide and reset it, take another shot, and move on. But now with the Titan X, you do get the benefit of the fact that there is no racking the slide. In fact, you get that trigger pull every single time. So that is a nice feature. Now, I was combating that by getting myself a hammer-fired handgun. This here is my SIG P229. I could take that same 9mm cartridge and just to say, racking this back, showing that it is clear, and here, putting that cartridge in, I then kind of get the benefit that I don't need to rack the slide, but it is a double action pull every single time. So the Titan X is kind of solving some of the problems with dry fire training, but not all. I wish there was more weight, and I feel like they easily could have weighted this thing and really made that work. I mean, why not just throw some lead in it? How much could that really cost? Weight the top of this so it's more balanced. This is it's a grip heavy kind of feel, even though by the end of it, you do add a little bit of weight, but it's not heavy enough. A little bit jiggly on the magazine, not a big deal. And you do get 2 mags. So as you take a look at what you get with the actual Titan X kit, you get all of your goodies, your USB Type-C charging cable, and then 2 magazines. So you could probably use that to, simulate mag changes. But does your mag change really impact your trigger finger discipline? I guess. It would certainly affect your follow-up shots. So which training tool are you using? I think this will be more effective when you get into something that combines both. Again, if I can envision where this would go, combining both the Laser Academy and then the X10, the Mantis X software into one platform. But again, that's my opinion. Now, this is also available not just in the Glock 17, but Glock 19 style, so you can get either one. I personally just wanted the 17. I thought that would be pretty cool. And something to point out, you do have general holster compatibility. Now, this is a universal holster, and I would need to adjust it to fit. I do have this fit right now for my DY9, but you can see you do have the ability to leverage Glock holsters, which is pretty awesome. So if you're somebody that wants to practice your dry fire coming out of the holster, this is certainly something that is capable. The next thing I'm going to say is this makes an amazing tool for maybe your kids. Like if you have a kid or somebody who you're not comfortable handing an actual handgun, I've given this to my son and he's practicing. Like there's something to be said for that. Never mind the fact that you're not shooting actual bullets and spending the money. So from, a financial perspective, that's sweet. But from a safety perspective, that's awesome. And people can start to learn some real fundamentals very quickly without the risk. And you can do it at home, again, without the risk of live fire. So that's another great benefit. Trigger pull. Now, this is a bladed safety. So you can see here, very similar to Glock triggers. But as I get on, pulling in the trigger, coming back, hitting a wall. After the wall, little bit of creep, and that break. Reset's a little mushy, but it's there. Pull, release. So again, pull, hitting the wall. Little bit of creep in there, that break, and reset. Just for the sake of the argument, taking this magazine, inserting it into my DY9, because this does actually have a mag safety, but I can rack this. It actually allows me to do dry fire practice safely with this, so checking it for clear, all set. Now, as we get on this here, you can see the trigger, pulling it in, hitting the wall, Little quicker on the brake there. Again, wall, not much creep. This is a great trigger here on the DY9. One last time. Wall, minimal creep, and that brake. So it's not apples to apples, but it's pretty good. It gives you the right idea. So as I mentioned, USB Type-C rechargeable, that's nice. This particular version here, having the cut slide, so I could add an optic. You do end up with fixed sights, and it's, kind of Glock style sights. No illumination, nothing like that, so just straight up blacked out square notch sights. Obviously you don't need to adjust them, but you can adjust the laser. So if you get to the point where you need to adjust your laser, which I found, in my opinion, I think out of the factory, this is shooting a little bit low. So for my particular needs, and of course that does depend on how far out you are shooting, and whether or not you're using a dot. I think I need a little bit of an adjustment to bring that laser up a touch. But again, I'll continue to experiment. So all in all, where does this land right now? Sometimes you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. So what I'm saying is, the people at Mantis, they got to start putting out products. They got to try things out, see what works, get feedback, and use it as a platform to continue to develop their product line. And I feel like this could be a great way to start to combine those softwares. The Laser Academy in combination with the Mantis X platform, getting them under one umbrella and really starting to get something that works and works well. And over time, maybe the guns will improve, and that'll be an add-on. And, instead of it being a full priced package, hopefully the price comes down a little bit, and, this whole thing starts to work out to where it really becomes effective. So all in all, I think it's a great start, but I also think there's a long way to go. So again, to the people at Mantis, thank you for providing this for review. And for all of you, thank you again for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.